Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video on significant figures. So by the end of this video, I hope you can take any number and round it to a certain number of significant figures. So the idea here is simple. Sometimes we have numbers that have heaps of digits, either before or after the decimal point. Rounding to significant figures, just like rounding to a certain number of decimal places, allows us to write the number in a more convenient way. We find a number that's close enough that doesn't have as many digits to deal with. So when we're talking about significant figures, all the digits of a number are considered significant except zeros. Zeros are sometimes significant, sometimes not. If the zero is at the start of the number, it's not significant. If it's in between non-zero digits, then it's always significant. But what causes a lot of confusion is that zeros at the end of a number, sometimes they're significant, sometimes they're not. So before we get to rounding to significant figures, let's look at identifying the significant figures. So here we have two numbers here. They look very similar, but they actually have a different number of significant figures. This first number has 3 significant figures, and this one has 6. So let's look at the first number. Why does it only have 3 significant figures? Well, we said zeros at the start of a number are not significant. So the 3 significant digits here are 6, 2, and 5. So any non-zero digit, any digit except 0, is always significant. So the 6, the 2, and the 5 are definitely significant. So this has 3 significant figures. But if we look at this number here, it doesn't start with 0. It starts with a 1. So the 1 is definitely significant. These two zeros are significant because they're between non-zero digits, a 1 and a 6. And as I said, anything, if it's not a 0, is definitely significant. So that's why this number here has 6 significant figures. So that explains the first two, and we'll go through some examples of zeros at the end of a number in a second. But let's look at using these two to round numbers to a certain number of significant figures. So let's look at this number here, which we will round to 3 significant figures. So this number at the moment has 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. So when we're rounding this to 3 significant figures, we still need to write these zeros at the start, even though they're not significant. Because the point is, when I'm rounding this to significant figures, I want a number that's very close. If you get rid of the zeros, you won't have a number that is close to the original. Okay, so let's go find the significant figures. Well, the 1 is a significant figure, and so is the 8. Now, I need to write one more significant figure. I use the same rule as for rounding to decimal places. 5 or more raise the score, 4 or less leave the mess. So if I'm rounding to 3 significant figures, I look at the 4th significant figure. 5 or more raise the score. So this is 5 or more. I'm going to raise the score of the previous number. So to 3 significant figures, it will be 0.00188. These are the 3 significant figures. So let's raise the number 3.6802 to 3 significant figures. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant figures. All of them are significant. The 0 this time is significant because it's in between non-zero digits. So to round to 3 significant figures, I'm going to write the 3 and the 6. The 4th significant digit is 4 or less, so I leave the mess. I don't increase this one. So to 3 significant figures, it will just be 3.68. So that's for rounding numbers that had decimals in them to significant figures. Another thing that differs from when you're rounding to decimal places is that you can round whole numbers to a certain number of significant figures. So if I wanted to round the number 32,768 to 3 significant figures, well, the 3 is significant, and so is the 2. And the 4th significant figure, 6, it's 5 or more, so I raise the score, and I get 8. So this number now has 3 significant figures. I don't want to just write 328, though, because that number is nowhere near 32,768. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these last 2 digits into zeros. So 32,768 to three significant figures is this. So here, the 3, the 2, and the 8 are significant figures. These two zeros at the end, they are not significant here. So this gets a bit confusing because sometimes we need the zeros to count as significant figures. So let's say I wanted to round 199,974. I want to round that to three significant figures. Well, the fourth significant figure is 5 or more, so I'm supposed to raise the score. But I can't make this a 10, and I can't make this a 10. So instead, I'm going to make this 199 into a 200. So I've rounded it up to 200, but again, I want the same number of digits in my whole number. So I need to write it as 200,000. I can't just write it as 200 because that's nowhere near my original number. So this is what you get if you round this to three significant figures. So now the 2 is definitely significant, but so are the two zeros. This has three significant figures. So as you can see, I'm sort of cheating here. I said that zeros at the end of the number don't count as significant, but here I'm counting them as significant because I need them. And that is the rule. With zeros at the end of the number, you just count them as significant when you need them. Alright, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.